Hello everyone, my name is Shania Balazir. I am the founder and director of The Table Impact.
Hi everybody, Jeanette Rodriguez. I am the host city director for FIFA.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Grant Yanni. I'm the Assistant Director at the Office of Talent and Workforce Development, Employee Engagement, and Community Outreach.
Thank you everyone for coming. My name is Nicole Vogt. I'm new here at DYCD. I am the new Youth Board Coordinator. I am an Operations Coordinator working closely with Sarah and Andrew Miller over in the Department of Intergovernmental and Public Affairs. It's nice to meet you all. I spent a lot of face over Teams and Meet, so this is wonderful. I'm happy that we're all here today. Thank you for coming.
And I'm Sarah Marks. I'm Senior Director for Intergovernmental Affairs. We're part of the Office of Intergovernmental and Public Engagement here at DYCD. And I'm going to wave to Anita Antonetti, also from our team, and also note our communications team. Mark Benavides is our videographer today.
Thank you, Sarah. I was going to run down the microphone to all three of you, so Sarah saved you from that. But thank you so much for being here. And just thank you to the Youth Board members that have been with us for a very long time, some of you, and the Workforce Development Board members as well. And a very special thanks to all New York City employees. We were talking about the fact that we've had some absolutely wonderful mayors of this city, and they change, and we miss them when they leave. But a lot of times it's the employees a couple of layers down that stay with us and see that the work is done, and that means everything to us, that continuity. So thank you to all employees. I want to now turn it over to Sarah, who will be giving the commissioner's report.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming today. And on behalf of Commissioner Howard, thank you for your participation and for joining us today. I also wanted to let everyone know Elizabeth Cribbs is our vice chair, and she's sitting in today, acting as chair. Our youth board chair, Jackie Chang, was delayed today, and she may not make it to the meeting. So I just want to extend also apologies on her behalf. So also Nicole did introduce herself, but we want to really welcome Nicole Vogt to our DYCD team. I think that most of you have interacted with her already, maybe meeting her for the first time today. So we are really excited to have her on board, and she has already been a great asset to our team. So I hope that this will bring us into, I know things were a little bit up in the air for the past few meetings as we had some shifting staff responsibilities. So we're really especially looking forward to having that continuity for the next, moving forward. So our meeting today is where you have a pretty comprehensive report from the commissioner, which is in your folders. I know Nicole emailed it out, and there are some extra copies in the front, and that goes through a lot of details about sort of individual programs that have been happening. So I'll just sort of want to give a little bit of a quicker, higher level. So since our last meeting, we actually adopted the next city budget. So I think last time we met, we were still in the budget negotiation process. We had a good sense of what was coming, but the city fiscal year started July 1st. So our adopted budget for the current city fiscal year right now is about $1.5 billion, which it's just every time I have to say that we're even over $1 billion was huge for us. So this is tremendous. There are three areas where we're really, our budget is anticipating growth this year. We talked, I think, in one of our previous meetings about the fatherhood program. So that program is expanding, and we'll be having new contracts will be beginning in January. We're also seeing growth in our runaway and homeless youth program, 100 additional residential beds for young adults ages 21 to 24. And then the huge, largest place where we're seeing expansion and growth is in our Compass program, which is our after-school program. So we are in year one of a 20,000 seats expansion plan. We are also going to be issuing a request for proposals this fall. That's been a very long time coming. So Shakina from our Compass team is going to present on that in depth. But it would be absurd if I didn't mention it in like the official commissioner's report, because the agency is really focused on that right now. And we also, and Nurus is here today to update everyone on the Summer Youth Employment Program, which we reached 100,000 again participants last summer, which was really wonderful. So the one piece that I think is not elsewhere in the agenda that I'd love to talk to you briefly about is the community needs assessment. So there are some flyers on the table over there, and it's something that we would love for as many people as possible to participate in. The community needs assessment, the CNA, is a citywide survey that will help us determine what services are needed in each neighborhood. So it's open to everyone who lives or works in New York City who's 14 or older. It's an anonymous survey. You can go onto our website, you can find it there. There's a flyer that Nicole is sharing. If you go to our website, there are also toolkits, so additional flyers, suggested language for social media, all of that, so that you can push that out to your own networks. Because in addition to filling this survey out yourselves, we would love it if you would share that out with the people that you work with, the people you interact with. So it's completely anonymous. It does ask where people live, but that's as simple as sort of picking a point on a map. No one is also going to check if it's the exact place they live. You just want to make sure that they're locating so that we can sort of see in what part of the neighborhood someone lives in. And so it asks questions. It's pretty quick. It asks some questions about what kind of services you use and what kind of services you think are needed. It also has some more specific ones because this is also connected to our federal funding. There are some specific things that they're curious about. They want to know if someone's a member of the clergy or some specific occupations that are listed. But it shouldn't take, more than 5 minutes. If you also are having events, having programs where there are ways where you would like to encourage people to take this survey, you can be in touch with us and we can help you get paper surveys for people who are not comfortable with online, as well as flyers and surveys in 13 languages. So if you go online, you don't need to, you can automatically look for the other languages, but if you need paper printouts in the other languages, we'd be happy to do that. And Anita on our team is working really closely on this, so you should please reach out to me, to Nicole, to Anita afterwards if there's anything that we can do to help you be able to bring this survey to as many people as possible. Right now we have we are under 10,000 responses, but we are getting up there. We do this every 3 years. Every 3 years. And then once we have that information, it's something that's helpful to us both specifically for our community service block grant program, which really is targeted in specific neighborhoods that meet particular income criteria, but it's also helpful in general when we're looking at our new programs and where they're going to be located, and just our sort of community work in terms of better connecting to the community, really being able to look at that data and have a sense of what do people who live in this neighborhood, what are they looking for, what do they care about. So that's really my biggest plug for that. We also have public hearings, so people who would, instead of taking the survey, want to come to a public hearing. There are public hearings around the city in designated neighborhood development areas, and you can also find information for that on our website. So that is something that is also a pretty a strong priority for the agency right now. We're doing our best to partner with our other, our sister city agencies and activities. So right now, if DYCD's team is out at a public event, they're going to have these flyers. We're working with Department for the Aging, we're working with health and hospitals, and really as many other city agencies as we can, but I think where youth board members could really help us, really have a chance. Because I know that many of you interact with people in other capacities in other ways, and so even if it's just sort of having some of these flyers or putting a information out to your own networks, whether that's personal or professional, and it could really help us build up our numbers and help our data to be stronger, to have a bigger picture of the city. So those are my sort of big points, but if anyone has questions or general questions for things that aren't covered on the agenda, or things that you would normally ask in the commissioner's report, I'm happy happy to do my best to answer. Yes, yes, we will, yeah, we will send you the link to the CNA page, after the meeting. And there should be a QR code on the flyer, and that will take you to the survey. Yes, and that's exactly what our toolkit is for. Okay, we will send that out after the meeting. But you can also probably navigate to that by using the QR code or by just going to the DYCD website. It should be at the top of the homepage at this point. And it's called Toolkit. Toolkit is the one that you can download flyers and suggested language. Okay, I think I will pass it back to Elizabeth.
So any other questions or comments based on Sarah's remarks? No? Everyone's okay? Okay. Thank you so much. So I know that Nicole sent the minutes from our last meeting in June. If any of the board members had a chance to read it, I'd love a motion to approve. Motion to approve the minutes from June. Any board member? Thank you. Thanks, Abube. Can I have a second to the motion to approve the minutes? Jeanette, thank you, Jeanette. Thank you so much. So now this is the most fun part of the meeting where we get to hear from some experts. Nothing against you. We love your presentation as well. But we're bringing back Nuru Salam, who joined us in March to talk about the SYEP program. He is Director of Youth Workforce Programs at DYCD. He gave us a preview in March about the summer plans, and now he's here to let us know how everything went. So Nuruz, please go ahead.
Thank you so much for having me. When you mentioned March, right, I feel like the other day I was here just to give an update on SYP, right? On the SYP side, as Sarah mentioned, I'm very happy to report this is our 4th year serving 100,000 young people through summer youth employment. Before I get to talk about some of the highlights, I also want to thank you all for your advocacy, right? For increasing number of SYP slots that is available to our young people. It used to be 75,000 young people before Mayor Eric Adams took over. And now we are serving 100,000 young people every summer. In March, I mentioned we received over 200,000 applications for summer youth employment program. This was the largest number of applications in the program history. And the program has been in the existence since 1963. And that speaks volume in terms of the work, not just DYCD, but the community-based organizations that are on the ground doing the hard work, right? When I say doing the hard work, that means recruiting participants, recruiting the young people, recruiting businesses to provide that experience. And because of the work they're doing, there is such a high standard that they're building now. Every young people wants to be part of summer youth employment program. Think about 200,000 youth who are between the ages of 14 and 24 that apply to be part of SYP. In the age of social media, they're coming to us in DYCD to receive their life-changing experience in the summer. So that's a huge milestone for DYCD, for New York City in general, like having that many young people to be part of that program. So what took place last 5 months, right? Because sometimes when if you can go to the next slide. Actually, one more slide. When you think about SYP, we sometimes think about it's just a 6 weeks program that takes place during the month of July and August. Actually, it's not 6 weeks anymore. SYP is much longer than 6 weeks. And that's because some of the work that takes place behind the scene. That means when young people apply to be part of the program, once they're selected, they're going through our comprehensive pre-employment training. During the pre-employment training process, our providers are working with young people directly to make sure that they have a functioning resume. Think about any jobs now. Can you get a job without a resume? No. You need a functional resume, and that's why DYCD has partnered with Hudson Ladders, which is a digital work readiness training platform. Through Hats and Ladders, young people are getting self-directed experience in terms of learning how to write resume, how to write cover letter. They're also learning how to navigate work environment, because sometimes work environment can be challenging for young people, right? Because you have to report to a supervisor. You also need to learn how to communicate with your supervisors, right? So we do cover that. But another great thing about the orientation that we provide, last 4 years, we have made financial literacy a requirement. Thanks to a city law, and I forgot the city law, Sarah, it's a requirement now for any of the DYCD's workforce or other programming, young people have to learn financial literacy. And for SYP, all of those young people have to go through at least 2 hours of financial literacy training. This past summer, over 20 million minutes were spent on financial literacy curriculum. In addition to the financial literacy, we also have incorporated, because our Commissioner Kim Howard is really big in this, mental health component into our work readiness training component. So they are completing mental healthness topics on Hats and Ladders platform. So those are the things that are taking place before young people get to start their summer experience. Fast forward to July now. During July, if you're between the ages of 14 and 15-year-old, you're not actually working. You are participating in a project-based learning experience with our nonprofit organizations, where you are working in a group to deal with some of the issues that your community facing, right? Whether it's environmental justice issue or voter registration. These are what our 14 and 15 years old doing for 75 hours altogether, and it's 12.5 hours weekly. Our older youth, who we call who are 16 to 24-year-old, they're actually placed at a work site. And this past summer, we also had another record-breaking number of young people, I believe if I have the number correct. Over 17,000 work sites partner with DYCD to provide work experience to New York City's young people. And it's not just now limited to work experience. During the summer, we also have career enrichment events that take place. So there are days where young people get to visit NYPD to see different opportunities that exist with New York Police Department. We also had different private sector employers that actually hosted enrichment events for summer youth employment program participants. We had one summit. They hosted our participants again this year. They have been doing that for the past 3 years. Even Con Edison actually hosted our participants, telling young people's different career fields that exist within Con Edison that our young people can be part of in future. And I know I'm saying a lot, but some of those actually, and I have to give a huge shout out to Mark, who is recording this. He's part of our social media team, and their team did an incredible job highlighting those stories on Instagram. If you have an Instagram account, go to @NYCYouth and you can see some of those reels, like young people visiting NYPD, young people visiting Con Edison, or sometimes young people sharing what it feels to be an SYP intern. All of those stories are on our Instagram. Some of those are on LinkedIn too, and sometimes it's also on X. So please check it out, because it's from young people directly, so you're not listening to hearing from me. This year, so we're not just doing what we do every year. Every year we're innovating, right? And one of the things that we did this year is the launch of Career Ready CUNY Reach. So this is a new program that we launched in partnership with CUNY, where we had over 75 young people that took 3-credit college course as part of their summer youth employment experience. So we had almost 75 young people that received 3-credit college courses where they're saving so much money. There is a final presentation actually I attended at Hostos Community College, where young people, there are 33 young people that are taking Intro to Entrepreneurship. And one of the stats that instructor provided, she mentioned, because of that course, those 33 young people saved altogether $66,000. College courses are expensive, and now young people are doing that as part of their SYP experience. They're doing the college course for 45 hours, the remaining 105 hours, they're working at a work site. This is something new that we did. Our goal is to expand even more next year. This this is just on the college level courses that we are providing. We also have a very strong partnership with New York City Public Schools. Thanks to that partnership, we have over 6,000 young people that are going to be using their SYP experience to receive academic credit. So what that means for those young people, if they don't have enough credits to graduate on time, now they have another extra credit for their participation in SYP. So some of these works are possible because of the work that UICD is doing in partnership with other city entities, right? Whether city agencies that we are partnering to provide work experience, New York City Parks, New York City Public Schools, Department of Building, DDC, we're partnering with them to provide work experience. We are partnering with CUNY, we're partnering with New York City Public Schools to provide academic credit too. So there is a lot of collaborations that are happening between different city agencies to make sure that our young people have the best summer experience to date. And that's some of the things that took place. Now we are gearing up for work and grow programming. This is our school year programming, and that's where also the academic component is involved before young people actually get to start working in their internships. That's all from my side.
Yeah, if we can pass the microphone. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a few questions.
Yes.
Just because this is like something I love. What type of training and development are you focusing on for personal and professional development for long-term employment?
So that's such a great question, right? I mentioned as part of the orientation, we provide some of the work readiness training, right? But what we also, so work readiness training is not enough. We have been working with Hats and Ladders to build more technical skills for our young people. Like for example, as part of the older youth experience, young people get to learn different pro skills. When we say pro skills, there are 25 hours of training available in business and professional services. So if you're interested in entering business and professional service field, there is 25 hours training that you can do to our program. There's also like, if you're interested in graphic design and you want to learn more skills on that field, we also have almost, I believe for graphic design is like 30 hours course that is available for our young people. We are also working with Hats and Ladders, and IBM has a range of course that young people can do to help themselves personally and also professionally. So we have slowly started incorporating those into our curriculum too for our young people.
Okay, not just that, but like team retreats, like team meetings. They don't know how to like work together. They don't know how to speak on a job. They don't know how to act on a job. They don't know how to conduct themselves. I've been hosting as SYP doing PBL, and the students are late. They're in their bed. They don't know these structure skills. How we're teaching them physically, not digitally, because anybody can do a digital training, but you're not paying attention. How are we able to get them to pay attention physically? They have to do the work in order to gain their credits. They can't just gain it by just showing up late.
Absolutely, I agree with you, and that's why there is two components within SYP. It's not just work experience, right? If you're 14 and 15 years old, we have project-based learning experience, right? Which we're referring to, and that's what's supposed to be our providers to work with the young people so they understand the basic foundation of work, right? So that way we can prepare them to enter workforce. So they're not just entering workforce. Before that, there is a component that they have to complete. Even as early as 12, 13 years old, correct me if I'm wrong, in the Compass, we are starting that partnership that we have with Expanded and Hats and Ladders. So we're teaching those skills to our young people before they even enter SYP.
Okay.
But it's a work in progress. It's like, it will take more years.
It will take a long time to get to the point of where my mind is at. So it's okay. I'm not getting on you about it. My next question is, would you foresee like menteeship? Adding that, because growing up, I never had a mentor, and I always looked for a mentor to help me in my path of my career. So will we be incorporating that for the SYP, so they can get like some guidance? Because a lot of them feel like we are falling short, or they're being like lost in the sauce, and I want to help them like get it together. Like, you have to get it together now, or sorry for the slang terms, but AI will consume you. The world will consume you. You don't even know how to pay rent, so you need to, get the step in or get moving on this life. So,
Mentorship component is so important, right?
Yes.
On the SYP side, so we don't necessarily have a formal mentorship program, but on the worker and goal, we have an ambassador program that we have started, right? Where we have 11, 12 graders actually mentoring young people, right? So they get to see how, like even 2 years ago, we actually launched the WLG ambassador program. We have 11 and 12 graders working with elementary school students, right? Some of them were bilingual, so they didn't necessarily understand the language, right? To participate in different games, and that's where our ambassador actually came in to help. We also have the WLG financial literacy peer mentor because although we have hats and ladders, we have financial literacy curriculum, but to your point, young people learn from each other, right? They don't want to be told from a 30 years old, 40 years old, like when they hear from their friends, most likely they're going to act upon them. So we have started doing some of those things on the WLG side and to test it out to see how we can actually incorporate them in SYP field as well.
okay. 2 more questions. Would you consider partnering with Coursera as a big educational platform that you can gain certifications for?
That's something we can definitely look into it because as I mentioned right now, Hats and Ladders is our partners when it comes to work readiness training and the curriculum. They have been partnering with IBM SkillBuild, which has similar to Coursera. They have different courses that we are incorporating. But definitely, like we want to make sure that our young people have access to the best curriculum, best resources for them to enter workforce.
Okay, my last question is, I know my babies are so intrigued of being an entrepreneur, but they don't know how to even get to that point. I'm an entrepreneur myself, and I had to fight to get through the cracks of like how to even start a nonprofit. So how are you guys going to help them in their journey instead of throwing college down the road? How to help them navigate that entrepreneurial side? Because they want to be a hairstylist or a nail tech or a bartender, or whatever they choose, as long as it's not guns and violence for me, I'm all for it. But how would you foster that without shooting them down of understanding you can have best of both worlds?
So that's another great point. Some of those works happening on the 14 and 15 years level. For example, we had this past summer actually, Fifth Neighborhood. They had a Shark Tank style BBL. So young people get to present the businesses that they would like to start. And some of our DYCD staff members served as the judges to finalize who has the best entrepreneurial idea in terms of the businesses they would like to start. There's some work that's happening on the ground, but there is more that DYCD can. The college course that I mentioned, that's also another area where we are giving our young people that access. If you want to be an entrepreneur, there is a college course that you can take in terms of how to be an entrepreneur.
Okay, my last thought is I would like to help on that project.
Absolutely. Thank you for all the great questions.
Any other questions? I think George has one. Thanks, George.
Thank you. First, let me thank you for your comments and your questions. That's exactly what we need. It's the importance of having an integrated group talking together. Because there are points that you would bring up that many of us would not recognize or be identified with. And so it's absolutely very important to have this sort of active group. I want to thank you for your comments. The introduction, as I look at these young heroes here, young heroes of the future, I realize they need this sort of introduction that you're giving them. There's an old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And of course, how do you start a great entrepreneur, a great business person, a great family person, a great leader? By introducing them to a little at a time. So I want to congratulate you and your staff for the work that you do. I was very impressed with the state comments that you made. I was also very impressed that the mayor has increased the number of openings for young people. And we most certainly hope whoever the next mayor is, that he will finish up and follow the lead of this mayor who's had a most certainly outstanding 4 years as a great administrator. I also I could not put the microphone down without congratulating the young people who are sitting close to me. it's quite heartwarming to see young business people in this environment. And we look forward to seeing you grow and develop and see your careers really expand. So I'm absolutely delighted to be here with you. Thank you so much.
Hi, Mango. I appreciate your thank you so much. I appreciate it. It has been like a really hard journey, like trying to start a business. So, I actually like led an SYP program this summer, and hopefully I'll do WLG. Yeah. So I really love like this program and what I'm able to do for young kids. My question is that I understand that you're doing a lot of training programs for the kids, but do you have any training programs for like the directors of the program? Because like it's hard to kind of teach the kids what you want to teach them when you're trying to figure out like how to teach them and like what way would get through to them. So if you're already teaching them stuff, you're already like connected into like how their brain works, maybe like we could be in on that process so that we could like help them learn faster together.
Absolutely, that's such a great question because we also need to make sure that we are trained, we are expert in the field, so we can better support our young people. So there are a number of trainings that UICD does. First, on the programming side, right, the SYP side, before the SYP start. Just to give you an example, we have an employers engagement team on board. Employers engagement team works with our provider staff who are on the ground in terms of providing tips, trainings, how you can target different industry sectors, right? Because one thing you have to really think about, New York City's workforce landscape has been changing a lot, right? SYP used to be known as like, if you want a job in daycare, day camp, right? You come to SYP. That's no longer the case. Last few years, we've been targeting companies from information technology, healthcare, business and professional services, because that's where most of the jobs are. And we want to make sure our nonprofit partners who are on the ground knows how to go after those jobs, so our young people can have that exposure at an early age. So we do provide that training. We also have a capacity building teams on the UICD side that provides other training to our providers, so they can have their staff member fully trained before they get to interact with our young people. Yep.
I have one last question. I don't need a mic. I don't need a mic. My biggest thing is training and development. I am I rant and rave about training and development, and not just education, just because I've seen staff of CBOs just be unprofessional. I've seen directors of CBOs be unprofessional and be friendly with the kids. Biggest thing is training and development, to her point of how are we able to help and upstand the directors, also help the kids become a young adult in leadership. Because leadership is a big place, and you can get consumed in leadership, you can become a dictator or a laissez-faire. There's other leadership styles that I can mention, servant leader, all those other good things. How are we able to teach them how to be the greatest leader in the way that they see fit without compromising their morals and values? Because as a person who has a master's in organizational leadership, leadership is the focal point of how the whole organization runs. And if the leadership staff is not doing their job, then it falls apart.
Absolutely. And as leaders, sometimes you are also role models to the young people that come to get the services from you, right? And that's one thing I always tell my team, right? We represent City of New York. So when we go out, visit work sites, when we go out, visit our providers, we need to make sure that we held ourselves to a high standard. And that sometimes starts with how we dress up, right? We're in the field of youth development. We want to make sure that we set an example for our provider staff so they can be an example for the young people. And to your point, it's very important, right? As our programs are growing, right? Like SYP is going through a lot of expansion. So it's complex, right? We also want to make sure that people, we worry about the quality and not just quantity, right? So as we are serving more and more young people, so we want to make sure that you are not pushing aside people who are coming to get help, or you're too busy to give them the answer, give them the support that they need. So sometimes it starts with having those skills like having compassion. When somebody comes to you, that means they're coming for a need, and we need to make sure that we address them with respect and professionalism.
And one last question, and I do want to give Mr.
2024, I worked with SYP, and it was like 25 kids. It wasn't no work for us to do. It wasn't anything to do because there was no work. The place was kind of small, so you're kind of just sitting around for hours. You have nothing to do. And it's, what are you learning, right? You're just sitting there, day after day. Yeah, I've talked to multiple people, and they're having the same issues of not learning anything because there's just too many kids. And it's amazing because you're getting paid for kind of sitting around, but it's like I do want something to put on my resume and learn. So it's more of a statement, I guess, but it's a problem.
Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for sharing your experience. And it's very important, right? As we grow, it's also important that businesses to come forward, to support our young people, to host our young people, to give that experience. So we don't have 20 young person just sitting in one work site, right? That's why it's very important that everybody works together, right? Because we can't just have a program with over 100,000 and if there is no work sites, right? So everybody has a role to play in terms of making sure that we provide quality services to the young people.
Thanks for raising that.
Thank you.
Yes, hi, thank you for your presentation. So I do have a very quick question. Our young people, when they want to be entrepreneurs or leaders of any organization, time management is very crucial. Especially when they're kids, they're balancing between school and work. And when they're grown, they have other commitments, like they're expected to have like family commitments and other responsibilities. If they work in a part-time job, that will be their commitment. So do you teach like young kids from the beginning about time management so they don't burn out? Especially delegation of tasks is pretty important because I'm a leader of a couple of organizations and I always keep a calendar and I delegate the tasks. I used to do a lot of crunch in my own, but I decided to just delegate tasks to make it easier. It doesn't fall on one person, but they work as a team. So this is just my two questions.
Thank you so much for your questions, and you raised some really good points, right? In terms of SYP, right? SYP application used to be released in April, back in the days, right? And one thing we realized, especially when you have 100,000 young people in the program, and if we release the application in April, there's not enough time to train those young people and also place them at the work site. So what we have been doing on our end, we have been moving up the timeline. This past summer, this year, we actually released the SYP application in January. This is the earliest application launch in the program history. So what it allowed is our providers to work with young people in terms of those tangible skills that you were talking about, right? Does that mean everybody is doing everything they're supposed to? Not necessarily, but we are aiming to make sure that we get there so that all young people who are enrolled receive the training we need. Our providers have ample staff to provide the support that young people need. And we also have ample work sites in the program to make sure that young people receive the quality experience, just not collecting a paycheck.
Thank you, Nowruz, and I just want to thank everyone for their comments. Really appreciate people's opinions and thoughts. That's how we get better. And Nowruz, thanks for just having an open mind and listening, because we know that it takes a team and everything that you've done is really amazing.
Thank you so much, and I love that feedback. As a matter of fact, my team, we are working on right now just to see what went well, what didn't go well, and how we can make this program even better for next year.
Well, we're lucky to have you, so thank you.
so much.
And I want to pass the microphone to Shakina Shah, who is not only director of Compass Elementary at New York City to talk to us about Compass programs, but she also is a graduate of SYEP. So you can see the leadership that comes from that. So Shakina, please go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm a little animated when I get a mic. I feel a little power. So we're gonna rep our boroughs. We're gonna learn some things about the Compass unit. Y'all with me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let me start with 3 things. I'm gonna follow you, nurse, because you did that. So thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your investment. I am very animated, so I'm gonna remember to keep this mic close. But we go to karaoke. I'm also dancing. And they're like, Keena, no, you have to. I'll hold this joint. And then the second thing is, you'll see it on your notes, but the Executive Order 54 has been signed by our mayor, and we are so grateful. But you'll see this means universal after school for all. We need that in this field. And then the last thing, you see my little pin here, shameless plug, but Compass makes 20 years this fall. 20 years. Amazing. They started 05, I came in 07. So I'm not counting, but yeah. So let's get into the presentation. After School for All, AKA Universal After School. So the goal here for this administration is After School for All. The vision is to serve Compass programs grade bands K through 8. Now, if I speak in African and you need me to spell it out, just let me know. That's something that we do around here. Now, although this last part say public school students, I want you to understand we service everyone. Public school, parochial school, everyone's community centers, everyone can enroll in the program, okay? There are 5 main goals of Compass for the elementary and middle school. What you will see sometimes is that you'll see the word Sonic. That was something we referred to as middle school. So we have changed that. Middle school, when you see Sonic, just think middle school because Sonic is part of Compass. People think it's 2 different programs, it's not, right? So Compass Elementary and Middle School programs aim to strengthen the integration of youth, development, social and emotional learning, and academic skill building through achievement of the following overall. So let's go through the 5 goals together. Now, as we know, in any partnership, you need everyone. It's not just us, right? So here, we need the teachers and we need the youth professionals to foster academic and emotional competencies. 2, provide opportunities. This is the agency level, right? It's not just the providers, the program director, youth services. We need EDs, executive directors, chief program officers. Provide youth opportunities to explore their interests. Again, we work into the K through 5 babies. They should explore their opportunities. Goal 3, we want to build skills that support academic achievement and so forth. Cultivate youth leadership and community engagement. And last, this is where we need the adults. We say engage parents and other caretakers because I want to stay there for a minute. We have learned throughout our time that it's not just the parents taking care of our babies, right? I miss precious cargo, I miss precious gems. We have the grandparents, we have aunties and uncles. So this is why we say caretakers. And we're trying to change our verbiage from just saying parents, but to caretakers, okay? Key objectives, here's some highlights that's going to happen. Adding 20,000 new after-school seats over the next 3 years. I'll go through the timeline for you. Align with NYC's $331 million budget. Let's stay there for a minute. Right now, Compass operates at about a $300 million budget. We're doubling that. Almost an $800 million unit. The services will never be the same. The staff will never be the same. We are elevating, enhancing, and doing all the beautiful things, and you see that to come. Service students in public schools and community settings, which we kind of spoke about a little while ago. Provide enrichment and child care support for families. That's the key objectives. Now let's talk about timeline. Ms. Sarah helped me out earlier. Fall 2025, we have added 5,000 seats to existing Compass programs. What this means. We received 40 programs. What that means is 40 new schools for service through our grant recently. Today is their first day. Yeah, clap it up for them. They started today. All programs started today. And then, here's the big one, the RFP. RFP is soon to be released, fall 2025. Stay there with that. There will be 15,000 new seats, approximately 75 schools. Then, next year, we have an additional 5,000 seats added to Compass. Exciting times for the Compass team. This shows investment in the work we do. This shows an investment in what you do, all of us, so thank you. I'm almost done, so I can turn it over for the wonderful questions I know soon to come. NYC is investing big. We kind of talked about this money, over $700 million a year to ensure every student, universal after school, so remember that term, from kindergarten through 8th grade band can access awesome after-school programs. These programs aren't just about staying busy. We're not just a babysitting service. We're helping them grow, explore, and thrive. A little bit more about us, more access, thousands of new after-school spots for K through 8 students across NYC. That's all 5 clarify boroughs. And I know sometimes maybe I should clarify this a bit. Sometimes families believe if they live in a shelter that they cannot enroll in our programs. Yes, you can. We use the address of the shelter in the system. Just to clarify this, oh, I don't have a home address. Yes, you do. You have a home. And we use the same address where you stay now at the shelter. When you tell our STH team at New York City Public Schools in the building, students transition into housing. Is that STH? Did I say that? A little bit, right? Big investment. We talk about this money to support fun, safe, and enriching programs. Your voice counts. Programs shaped by feedback from youth, families, and communities. Variety of activities. We do everything. We do sports, we do arts, STEM, and much, much more. Better programs. We're keeping track of progress because, as we know, qualitative and quantitative data go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other in this field. So we can say, oh, we have 1 million kids over here. Well, show me the data. Put them in the system. Let me see them. Right? Oh, we have great programs. What's great? Let's level out great. What does great mean? Let's level that. So again, qualitative and quantitative data go hand in hand in the work we do. What's next? New programs launching soon. Some already. We talked about that. And then I'm done. However, before I turn over the mic, I need the boroughs to represent. Okay? So I know your social studies teacher told you that Harlem is part of Manhattan. No, it's not. It's a borough. Right. Exactly. Born and raised in Harlem, but I do reside in the Bronx now. But we have Manhattan in the building. We already know the borough that's going to show out. We already know. So we got Manhattan, Brooklyn. We got Queens in the building. Oh, Brooklyn, you got competition? Bronx? Okay, how about with you? Okay, good. Then Kate, you know. So with that, I thank you for listening to me. I'll turn it over to you. Yes, ma'am.
This is a little sensitive, but it's okay. Okay, for my babies, what type of trips will we be incorporating in the Compass curriculum for them to get the exposure? Because all schools always say, we don't have enough funding to send the kids on a trip. That's a lie. Let's hope the DYCD and let's see they say something otherwise. But what type of trips will we be incorporating, even if it's like twice a month or something, so they can get the exposure of like going to the museum, even though that may be boring to them, but going to do something fun, not like going to Sky Zone or, you know, all of those fun activities, but going to do something meaningful in order for it to be reflective for SYP or something that they can remember, because there's a lot of history in New York that I'm not aware of, like the Central Park. I did not know Black people owned Central Park. I was not aware of it, so it's just like things like that. We're uncovering all of the hidden bones that New York has, and how can we continue to develop that in our Black and brown communities, because they're trying to take a lot of education out of education itself.
Thank you for your question. So yes, trips are encouraged, and we also rate our CEOs to ensure that they do trips. We also release a trip guide every summer, and what we call it is of no cost, because nothing is free, right? Somebody's paying for it, so it's of no cost to minimal cost, right? So we provide those things with them. We as DYCDMC, even on our website, we provide certain links. And you're right, Seneca Village does have history, aka Central Park. We also have history down here. If you go out the building, make a left, you'll see the African American burial ground around the corner. So it's about empowering ourselves, and that's what we do with our providers. We ensure they have the knowledge so they can make it happen. But we don't just leave it to the PDs to make it happen. We tell them, here's your contact at that place to make it happen, and they'll get you the tickets.
Okay. My next question is, what is the Compass curriculum based on knowing that the programs may have to pick up the slack of the caretakers?
So we do have something called PBL, which is project-based learning. We mimic this from our NYCPS partners. So when any school we're in, even if we're in center-based, we try to mimic the model of the school. However, what we promise people, because you don't want to promise and under-deliver, we explain that we are not educators. We search your child to the parents or guardians themselves, what we do is encourage them from the day one of activities. We're not homework completion, we're homework help, because we have to do the holistic approach. So we could do the 35, 45 minutes of homework help or assistance or studying, and then we have to do into the physical activity and the emotional, all those other things.
Which is learning also.
Yes, ma'am.
That was probably my next question.
Yeah.
Next question is, how will the program help struggling families, like, just hold, well-roundedness? Of like, because it stems from in the home, as we talked about earlier. If a kid is not in a proper shape to be prepared, like it's not sleeping enough, not eating enough, or is just needing more bath time, or how do you guys help prepare the parents to transition to a better life for their kids? Because it's going to affect them mentally and emotionally, and it's not one child, it's the whole household.
And thank you for that. Something passionate. When I say we this time, I'm talking about DYC. So on our website, you'll see we partner with over 146 pantries throughout New York City. We also have a literacy department. We also have an integration department. We also have housing. And then what Compass does, since that's not our wheelhouse, that's how we're strong, we do the after-school piece, we connect them to Lyris and team. We connect them to the CD side, which is Ebony and team, when it comes to needing food, or even Joe and his team, right? So we partner one DYCD, shameless plug, one DYCD. We do that on purpose because we know each unit has a specialty, and we refer families as such. And then if we're not in touch with the mom or dad or grandparents or so, what we do is we connect the CBO, because most of our CBOs are multifaceted. It's not just after school. They do healthcare, they do social work. So we meet them where they're at with the services of DYCD as a whole.
Okay. And for Compass, how would you guys be very diverse or very integrative when it comes down to a child with a disability?
This is a good one. This is one of our soft spots where we know we have to do that.
Reason why I asked,
We
because
use
I have
the
one.
language of youth with disabilities, but anything. Wearing glasses is an ability, right? I may need to sit at the front of the class. I don't need an IEP for it, doesn't mean it's logged somewhere, but how are you supporting someone that's vision impaired, right? So that is something that we're strengthening.
And,
Oh, sorry, go ahead, when you're done, pass down to Brian.
okay, thank you. Will there be a parent board in each Compass school? Will there be a parent board in each Compass school?
Yes, we encourage to have parent boards, we encourage to have youth boards. We know our inclusion is spread thin, so what we do is we take up the PD, program director at
That's
the
okay.
site, right? And we'll put on the agency as an entity and say, we need this as a systemic thing in your agency to happen for the parents. So we do encourage that. And then even if you ever saw an evaluation that we do when we go on site, that's in there. How are you engaging your guardians and parents? How are you partnering with the school? Are they involved? Do you have a youth board? That is something we make them on.
Okay.
Yeah, so we highly encourage.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, when I think of, I have a quick one too.
This is gonna be,
Oh, and then one, yes, please.
Yes.
I'm gonna keep it real quick, I know it's like 5:12, but in terms of programming, I know you guys have done a lot of great things, and shout out your team. I know, like, I spoke with Keith, and even for just trying to push that, because there's a lot of slots, and a lot of parents, I think, oftentimes, they want to know if their child's gonna get a slot, so salute to you all for adding extra slots. Now, the question is, has there been any conversations regarding pre-K?
So the reason we don't step into the wheelhouse of pre-K is because our programs are governed by the SAC license. SAC license for after-school providers start at the age of 5, right? Pre-K is earlier than that. So we partner with, around the corner, we partner with the pre-K sites. So when there is graduation, they can flow into our program. So that's the extent of when we partner with pre-K and pre-K. Is through those providers themselves and ensuring that they get a slot when it comes to years of public schools. Thank you.
There's also a comment, a question. So New York City this year celebrating 400 years, and New York City Tourism is doing Founded by New York City, diving deep into programs, innovation, history, culture, diversity, everything that's happened in the city. Are you guys tapping into that to expose things that have been birthed here right in the city? And then next year's 250 years for America, that's a whole different conversation. But focusing on New York City right now is a real opportunity.
You know, I'm going to say I haven't heard that yet.
this year, and there's a whole campaign through New York City Tourism.
I appreciate you. Now I'll take that back. Thank you.
So my question is two-part. First question is, this is exciting, awesome news in terms of the expansion of Compass. Just curious when the EO was signed for universal after-school programming. And then the second part to that question is, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's been a while since the RFP for something like this has been out. What is the awareness and onboarding process that you guys envision sending out to different CBOs and nonprofit providers that could potentially take advantage of this outside of, the traditional, maybe like FIPS?
Yep. So tell me your first question, EO. What does EO stand for?
The executive order you had mentioned before.
Oh, the E, okay. So how will we get that out? Is that what you're asking me? When was it signed? I want to say last week, Mayor Adams signed it, or it could be 2 weeks ago at this point. Sorry if my brain escapes me. Now, how are we alerting providers? Multiple ways. We are doing our round robins across all the 5 boroughs. We use a city system called Passport. Are you familiar? Yep. So we have we will alert them. We will alert them through that system that the RFP is released. We also, to your point, to diversify our portfolio. Typically, when we release an RFP, we ask for SPM, School Partnership Memorandum, signed between the CPO and the principal. We no longer ask for this. Okay, Sarah. We're no longer asking for this, as because we understand it's been 20 years, if not 10 plus 15 years since we had released an RFP. The world is diverse now. Shakina Inc. is around, right? She wasn't around in 05, 04 when it was released. So to ensure that we meet certain markets and diversify our portfolio, that is why
I just wanted to say, so something that we do encourage, all of our city contracting, all of our RFPs come through the system, which is called Passport. And something that any organization that's interested in applying for city contracts can do is to go into Passport and get pre-qualified. So by pre-qualifying, that means an organization is sharing information about who they are and what they do, and then it allows them to apply more quickly. There are some opportunities in Passport that may only be available to organizations that are pre-qualified because they need to get, to get moving quickly. But it also, by filling out that pre-qualification form, it allows organizations to express their interest and then get automatic notifications. So even if they're used to being, a youth services provider, but some of the work they do could work really well with another city department, they can still get notifications. So we really want to encourage the most organizations to do that. And our timeline, so we will be releasing the RFP shortly. We can't talk too much about the details because we're in this time period where we issued our concept paper. I know many of you read it and commented on it. And then some of, sort of all of the feedback that we received in the focus groups, a lot of that is then incorporated in the final RFP. So that's going to be issued this fall. And the idea is for us, the plan is to be able to make awards with them to have enough time to start up, to be able to offer services next fall, so that it won't be, right, we don't want to award a contract, right, on August 15th and say, you got it, congratulations, and now you're about to start. So our timeline is intense, but the goal is, so we want, we're meeting with a lot of people now to really encourage those applications, but it is going to be a short time frame in order for us to be able to get all of those seats open for the fall. It's pretty compressed. So if you know of organizations that are interested and maybe haven't worked with us in the past or are unsure, please, please you can send them to Passport for getting pre-qualified, but you can also send them to any contact at DYCD, and we will help them sort of make that connection to Shakina and to her colleagues and to those who can help. And then the other, just want to note, is that we have a landing page website for the whole city. It's nyc.gov and then /afterschool. One word, afterschool. So just nyc.gov afterschool. And that is consistently updated. It will, it's our homepage for the Compass expansion, so it includes a list of the new programs where they're going to be, but it also builds on the existing programs, which we haven't talked as much about, right? So every program is coming into the RFP, so every program will be in a bit of an updated model, but we're also continuing all of the locations that have been Compass programs for so long. So on that website, you'll be able to see new ones for this fall, you'll see the existing ones where they are, and then as additional sites are announced, they will also appear there. So that's a really good place to kind of check what's happening in your own neighborhood. So I just wanted to add all that. Oh, and I also, so in your commissioner's report, which I did not read fully, the last sentence is a mention of Ms. Shakina Shaw, who was one of 2 city employees honored with the Excellence in Human Service Delivery Awards at Gracie. So we are so proud of Shakina, and I'm glad that she was able to speak to the board today and share this with you.
Shakina, I have one burning question for you, and I also want to ask you, just to be mindful of time, will you be here after the meeting for a few minutes, just in case anyone has more questions? So the one question that I have for you, and I do want to move on to other board business and just comment on the elections, but the budget is amazing, $755 million. My question is, does that have to get approved every year? Can that go down? Can it go away? How does the budgeting work? You can't answer that?
I cannot answer that budget question, I do apologize.
I'm gonna have Sarah answer that question, because
I shouldn't be so eager to just pull the microphone away from you, that was rude on my part. So the expansion plan is in the budget for the out years. So when we do our budget and what the financial plan is, the adopted budget did include an expectation for that funding in the out years. It doesn't mean, sorry, out years, the future years, right? So we are voting on the current year when you adopt the budget, but at the same time, there are certain things that are funded where in the budget it says this is what we expect next year and this is what we expect the year after. So sometimes something just comes in for 1 year at a time, and so it would say $10 million in the current fiscal year, and then it would have 0 in the future years. So this is part of a multi-year plan. That doesn't mean, right, budgets can of course always change. Even, any funding that anyone ever has, as the city's financial situation can change. But this is part of a 3-year plan budgeted for the 3 years with that growth built in and with the expectation that that is already, those estimates are there and those are included in the city's budget planning.
Thank you so much. It takes a lot to ramp up like you are, so it's nice to know that hopefully the intention is that it stays. I want everyone to please give Shakina a hand. And she'll be staying out there for a few minutes to continue the dialogue. I have to say, I've been to so many DYCB board meetings, and this is probably the most questions that I've ever experienced, and I just thank you all, and everyone's welcome at this table anytime that you want to come, so we really appreciate everyone's voice. So thank you. I want to move on to the other board business. We were going to do elections this evening, but because Jackie is not here, our chair, we're going to table that to the December meeting. So thanks for your patience there. We want to wrap up to be mindful of time. But any other board business, any thing that any of our members have on their minds? Saeed, anything from you? Okay.
So on Wednesday, there is a youth empowerment event at City Hall. It's like a press conference. So I was asked to share that update. So once I have the flyer, I'll email it.
Thank you. Jan, Jeanette, anything?
Hi everyone, Ibube here. I know last year we had a lot of conversations around the mental health focus for what the board wants to do. And we've done a lot of great work, and I know I was talking about it with Louis earlier with the SYP, and that's blooming and doing good, so we're happy to hear that. But now we shifted to a mental health focus where we want to make sure young people are getting access to the resources that they're doing. So I'm still continuing my work with the NYC Youth Agenda, where we are pushing that work. We are doing research around mental health. Over the summer, I worked closely with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, where we are recreating resources and toolkits that are available for young people to have access to resources. So I'll also be sharing that as soon as we have that available, but that work is ongoing as well.
Thank you, Lume. Erica, anything? George, anything from you?
I'd just like to say to the young people, thank you so much for being here. I was a little concerned about your comments, and they made a lot of sense. You know, sometimes when we assign people to small, community-based organizations, they want the staff, but they don't know how to use them. And so sometimes, as a result of that, you will be in an office with nothing to do. And I have been at community-based organizations where I have seen interns just sitting there. I can't advise you on what to say to the people you're working with, but as an older person who doesn't get enough chance to read, I would suggest you bring something that you like to read and use that time constructively. So don't always, you know, life is really not, success in life has more to do with what you do than what people do for you. And so, you know, make sure you try to use that time more constructively, so when you go to a place where you might not be busy, bring you a good book that you like to read, or bring something you'd like to study, or bring something you'd like to be better prepared for your next grading class, or your next step in life. So, you know, we've got to be, even though you're young, and you still have to be proactive. And you're smart, that's clear. So, and you're going to be successful, that's clear, but we want you to be successful as possible. So if no one has anything for you to do, you find something proactively for you to do. So bring you some good books. I'd love to get paid to sit around and read. I'm looking for that kind of job. I give you my resume. I'm too old? Okay, I'll take it.
Thank you, George. Thank you for your comments, and we can all learn from that. Thanks for the guidance. Well, thank you all for being here. Nicole, anything else? Any other housekeeping?
I think we're all okay. Like Liz said, we're going to push the election to December. Jackie couldn't be here with us today, so we're going to make sure that we're doing that. And Kube, I actually would like to speak with you after.
Okay, cool. Great. Thank you, all of you, and have a great fall, and we'll see you in December. Thank you.